Every single second, an immense volume of digital financial data flows relentlessly across South Africa's entire national infrastructure. To sustain tax collection targets measured in the trillions of rands, the South African Revenue Service requires continuous structural upgrades to its analytical capabilities. Right now, the agency has two highly strategic, multi-million rand technology tenders open to qualified ICT and managed service providers. The window to participate is incredibly narrow, with submission deadlines rapidly approaching on May 19th and May 21st, 2026. The foundation is RFP 04/2025, a national network infrastructure contract. It supports the upper layer, RFP 07/2026, an enterprise data governance solution. Together, they represent a complete, symbiotic technology stack, a foundational transport layer securely moving data, supporting an application layer built to analyze it. Embedded within these procurements is a deliberate shift towards service-based frameworks, moving SARS away from the legacy model of purchasing hardware as capital expenditure. SARS is reclassifying institutional data governance as a frontline revenue-generating engine, capable of accelerating audits and reducing assessment errors. Deconstructing these tenders reveals the layered IT architecture required to maintain high-yield revenue streams while supporting critical national services. We start at the transport layer of the SARS IT architecture, tender RFP 04/2025. This map shows the geographic mandate of the contract. The infrastructure must securely connect highly distributed national nodes, including coastal shipping harbors, interior border posts, and major metropolitan airports. The tender groups this massive scope into three distinct service towers: data carrier network services, voice carrier services, and communications platform as a service. To deliver on this, the winning provider must deploy all connectivity through a network as a service, or NaaS, operational model. This animation contrasts the financial approaches. On the left is the legacy model, purchasing hardware and software upfront as rigid capital expenditure. On the right, the NaaS model shifts costs to operational expenditure. SARS consumes hardware, management tools, and lifecycle services strictly through flexible subscription-based contracts. The technical demands are severe. The specification mandates a guarantee of 99% continuous network uptime across the entire estate. To achieve that reliability, mission-critical sites require dual-path connectivity, ensuring absolute network redundancy if a single line fails. The vendor must also implement a strict service-level agreement tiering strategy across the national footprint. Here's the classification system governing service responses, divided into three tiers: gold at the peak, silver, and bronze at the base. Tiers are allocated entirely on operational criticality. High-traffic border posts demand gold tier redundancy, while standard regional tax offices require only bronze. The NaaS model in RFP 04 turns a winning vendor into a long-term infrastructure partner, operating one of Africa's most complex government estates. Moving up the architecture stack from the physical network, we reach the institutional data payload, addressed entirely by tender RFP 07/2026. This targets a master data management, or MDM, solution. The objective is to create a single, unified, authoritative source of truth across the organization's vast systems. This diagram illustrates the primary structural weakness facing massive legacy institutions: fragmented, siloed databases that isolate taxpayer records from one another. The proposed MDM architecture is designed to absorb and eliminate these chaotic silos, pulling them all into a single, centralized core block. The technical mechanism required to unify this vast amount of information is known as entity resolution. Through entity resolution, two conflicting or duplicate data files representing the exact same taxpayer merge smoothly into a single, clean, verified profile. This process is critical for enforcing stringent data quality standards across billions of individual data points. For a massive tax authority, data governance directly dictates the efficiency of capital extraction. By improving entity resolution across the board, SARS immediately reduces manual assessment errors. Second, unified, clean data natively accelerates audit cycles, allowing agents to process complex tax cases faster. Finally, achieving total data visibility strengthens wide-scale enforcement against non-compliance across the economy. This MDM investment is a structural upgrade to the agency's analytical infrastructure. It equips SARS to continuously exceed revenue collection targets by doing significantly more with their existing auditor resources. Beyond the technical strategy lies the harsh procedural reality of bidding on public sector megacontracts. A vendor's technological superiority means absolutely nothing if they cannot navigate strict, non-negotiable compliance protocols. For the network tender, eligible providers are established telecommunications carriers and systems integrators with a national footprint and active ICASA licensing. The data governance tender targets enterprise data vendors possessing proven implementation experience within highly regulated, data-intensive industries, like finance or the public sector. Every single bidder must hold 3 active statuses to even be considered for review: Central Supplier Database Registration, a valid SARS tax compliance PIN, and current BBBE certification. The tender office also demands highly specific, distinctly analog physical submission protocols. Digital submissions are entirely invalid. Proposals must be formatted as physical hard copies and sealed within heavy A4 ring-bound arch files. These physical files must be delivered by hand directly to the SARS headquarters in New Mucklenook, Pretoria. The deadlines are uncompromising: 11 a.m. on May 19th for the network tender and 11 a.m. on May 21st for the MDM tender. Failure to meet these exact physical formatting rules or timeline constraints will result in immediate disqualification, eliminating vendors before their technology is ever evaluated. The symbiotic relationship between these two seemingly separate IT procurement requests becomes clear. The lower-level NAWS framework guarantees the high availability flow of data from the absolute physical edges of South Africa's borders. This diagram shows how the upper-level MDM core ensures every byte of that transported data is accurate, unified, and actionable for auditors. This perfect alignment of reliable transport and a unified payload directly feeds the ultimate goal: maximizing national revenue collection. For qualified providers, this represents a lucrative but incredibly narrow window of opportunity closing within weeks. Together, these 2 multi-million rand technology tenders establish the highly specific architectural framework required to operate a high-yield digital government